I think we have to touch on this thing that he also said the other day. So speaking of things he doesn't usually say very often or do very often, is if somebody tags him on Twitter or tries to get his attention or something, he's not usually somebody that takes the bait. Not that this was necessarily bait, but I thought it was interesting that Piteas, which is the DEX aggregator that you and I think have both primarily used for quite a long time now for DCAing into PulseChain and stuff, they tagged him, and basically I forget what their original post was. I just have the RH one there, but literally one day before this post by RH, they basically tagged him and said, hey, like what do we have to do to get your attention? Like we do this, we do that, pointed out a lot of their the good aspects of them. And then I think some people probably also then debated them about some of their stuff in the comments, which is something that is going to happen. And you and I talked about it before Richard even posted about it, like, should they be trying to get his attention or whatever, or, they have accomplished a lot. It's interesting that he hasn't acknowledged them. And then sure enough, one day later, he does acknowledge them, which I was honestly shocked by, just because not that they don't deserve it or anything, but just he clearly saw it and posted about it. So, and some people have a problem actually with this post right here. So we'll read it real quick. He says, occasionally, if you trade coins that have deprived PulseX of buy and burn by putting their liquidity somewhere else, this is the part people don't like some of, you can get better order execution using Piteas.io. They're an order aggregator that combines liquidity from places outside of PulseX. But for instance, if you're trading stable or WETH for PulseX Hex, it's basically the same, except for infrastructure risk. You have to actually check what you receive as well, because some estimates aren't as good as others. Thus, it's nice to have an aggregator for weird coins. I think he's totally right about that. But sucks a bit that it starves PulseX of buy and burn. Attached are some tests showing routes. So he has some pretend swaps there showing the routes that Piteas would use based on what the swap is. And I think he makes a great point that if you are buying like meme coins or something on PulseChain that you're interested in, Piteas might be the best place for you to go. 9mm is another one that people have used to do some of that if the liquidity is a little bit better or if they can get them a better price. But I am interested, number one, what do you think of the fact that he did call them out as a positive here, but almost a little bit in a backhanded way, because he's talking about it, taking buy and burn away from PulseX. And some people, the same people that we've kind of already mentioned earlier, and people that are kind of detractors of RH were pissed about it and like, oh, okay, so you say that they're taking liquidity, stomping your feet about this. So what do you take overall about his response and the fact that he did mention it could potentially somewhat hurt the buy and burn for PulseX?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to realize that people aren't going to list everything on PulseX. There's a lot of things that aren't there because there are other platforms that offer better incentives to provide liquidity. So I mean, people are going to go where their money's treated best. That's how everything is. That's how it's always been, no matter what. So I think that while he's right, he wants people to use the system that he designed. It's just not always going to be the case. Now, the majority, if you look at some of this routing, much of it still does go through PulseX. There's, if you look at this one here from whatever they were swapping DAI to wrapped Pulse, you're going to go 77% here, 22% here on V2. You still have a lot of paths through PulseX. Now, if you have it over here, well, obviously that's all you're going to have. So, I mean, there's other stops, but I don't even see another route on this one. Let's see what this one does. Okay. So over here, there is this route that does go a little bit through 9mm. But you're still using majority PulseX V1, PulseX V2 on all of these. So it's very, very little. But again, you want to go where your money is treated best and wherever you're going to get the best rate. People should always look at their output. This probably can lead us into the next conversation too of you still have to look at what your output is going to be. Like, you don't just, I never just make a trade without looking somewhere else first to see if it's close or whatever. I mean, I think that's something that is a must for people. You always want to check your output. You want to see what you're going to get in return. How many coins am I going to get in return here? Okay, let me look over here and see if it's the same, similar. Is the value the same? I'm putting in $5,000. Am I getting close to $5,000? I realize they're probably going to take a little fee. Is it close, right? You know, especially if I'm swapping a stable coin to a stable coin or moving something along those lines where I know there's plenty of liquidity, I should be getting very similar value dollar wise out of it from that swap. So, you know, I get it. Yes, that it was a backhanded way of advertising for them. But again, people are going to go where their money's treated best, and you definitely want the best output. And oftentimes, PulseX is not that, you know, that it's not the option to get the best deal. So while it may hurt, buy and burn, that's not really affecting how many tokens that I want to get out of the transaction. So, you know, that's the bottom line, is where are you getting the best deal?
I agree. And yeah, I mean, you and I have both kind of advocated for Piteas for some time, I think. And PulseX I would be using when I would do the liquidity pools, obviously, and stuff like that. You kind of have to. Sure. But, you know, I would prefer to go to PulseX to swap, but if you can get a little bit of a better deal there. And I do agree with you. Like, if you're buying the core tokens, I mean, I think it does usually, for the majority, go through PulseX anyway. So yeah, I don't think it's way too much. Yeah. So I get why some people, you know, were rubbed a little the wrong way that Richard had to put that qualifier statement in there or whatever. But hey, I mean, at least he shouted them out. He basically, you know, got added at by them. And then the next day he talked about them. So